Good evening, everyone. Today, March 5th, 2024 at 6 p.m., a call for order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Supervisor Aliaga.
Here.
Clerk Newbeck here. Treasurer Brown.
Here.
Trustee Morocco.
Here.
Trustee Ritchie.
Here.
Trustee Tedder.
Here.
And Trustee Nalamothu is absent this evening. We have a quorum.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Board public announcements. I have some announcements. First of all, we started since last year the idea and the concept to make a video to bring awareness to our community about what each department of the township, what is the role, what they do. We started last year with assessing department where we show our community or people how assessing department work. It was really nice. A lot of people understood from the video how they work, how they come up with the numbers. And this week we released the video of fire department, and we have a lot of views on the and on Facebook and YouTube, and that is very, very nice to know what they do and how the fire department do above and beyond to serve, and take care of community. I encourage everyone to watch the video. It's very, very nice, and we gonna be doing another one with the clerk department. Is the one that's coming up very soon. That's gonna explain people how the elections works and everything. And also, we already filed, by the way, the application for the appropriations that we are applying for through the office of Lisa McLean. We applied with Dave McKee with DPW. So hopefully, something come out of it. We are working really hard about that. And then I want to congratulate our Deputy Director from Parks and Recreation, Lisa Christensen. She got an award for the M-Park, it was in the M-Park Conference for Recreation Leadership Award 2024 that was hosted in Kalamazoo. My sincere congratulations for her. Well done, Lisa. We are very happy and proud for you. And let me see if I have something else. Yes, actually, I wanna, last year we went out for bid for a grant writer, and today I would like to notify the board and the public that we will not be moving forward with awarding a grant writer contract, and we will be using our current board-approved engineer firms as needed for these projects. Okay, anyone else? Okay, Clerk Newbeck.
I just wanted to thank everyone that turned out to vote last Tuesday. We had a 30% turnout for over our 30,117 registered voters, which is pretty typical for a presidential primary for us. Our early voting, which was new, we had a total turnout for the early voting of 289 registered voters. So I thought I'd just mention that. I also wanted to publicly thank all of the departments, my staff, and fire department, the police department, and everyone that had a hand in making election day that day successful for us. It's great. We have great teamwork, and I appreciate everyone that had a hand in it. So that's all I have.
Okay. All right. Anyone else from the board? Jim? Paul? No? You good? Okay. Public comments. Anyone in the audience that would like to come and address anything? Sure. No more for 5 minutes, please. Joed, state your name and address. Sure.
Joette Kuntz, 9740 Reese Road in Clarkston. It really doesn't give me any pleasure to speak tonight to at least this particular thing. I was watching the Planning Commission and the February 8th, 2024 meeting. At the end of the meeting, it's 2:55 of a 3.31 YouTube, so you can see it if you choose to. the planning director and the consultant were talking to the planning commission. The consultant was discussing the social media posts in the community, and I'm not sure I think that was appropriate, but I'm not the judge of here. But this meeting was on Independence Television, and I don't think I was the only person watching, probably. The planning director then went into a litany of alleged violations of an unnamed elected official, which I was pretty aghast about. In the middle of the list, it was all about his residence. He starts talking about the Bailey House. Now, the Bailey House is a 501c3, and I'm a member of Preservation Clarkston. And the Clarkston Schools construction program has been working on that for approximately 3 or 4 years, or maybe more. The planning director then goes on to repeat secondhand information. He said he wasn't there, and he says a business official was driving by. Now that's the exact wording, driving by. And then he has a big list of kids on the roof without safety harnesses, saw blades wide open, open-ended circuit boxes, and he has a multiple list which you can hear yourself. Now, if you're driving by, I don't know that you can see all that. I mean, I listened to this 3 or 4 times. He went on to say that he wouldn't have his kids on the roof. It was a steep roof. That's perfectly all right. I don't see why that was part of a planning commission meeting. It's got innuendo, insinuation, hearsay. That's a lot more damaging than the truth. I brought you a binder. These are not all my pictures. Some of them I've taken, some of them the teachers taken, some of them other volunteers have taken. And I went to my picture file just to look at the Bailey House and the school kids. And these are just pictures I found in my own files. At the meetings, and we have monthly meetings, they talked about roof, being on the roof and the kind of harnesses you need. And you can see in there, there's only 6 pictures, I think. You can see that those kids have a lot of safety gear. And I think a good portion of that roof was really done by professionals because there was a leak in there and they wanted it done. It was one of the earliest things to do. I don't represent Clarkston Schools, but I have been a teacher for 32 years. And I know the negatives and the positives about having students outside of a classroom. Once you take those kids out, and Mr. Tedder, you've been there too, it's you know, trying to control them is difficult. And, but I see, as you see in those pictures, they've got safety glasses, they've got ventilators, they've got all the things that they need. This is the kind of, I am angry that this employee was repeating negative hearsay on television. And I don't know if this is kind of like the hot mic issue, or that he was just so comfortable. Mr. Ritchie, you were at that meeting, you were talking. I wish you had stopped it, because there's more damage done from misinformation than from the truth. I'm not sure, it was just inappropriate, absolutely inappropriate for the township, in my opinion. Our school district has been a leader in construction programming. The kids that like to work with their hands and they like to learn new things, that's an important thing. Damaging that program's reputation is not appropriate. If you have something to say about that, because he was talking, I think the roof was put on 2 years ago, you need to go straight to the teacher, the superintendent, whoever, but you don't talk about it 2 years later. You know, the construction program allows kids to enter the job market with construction skills and achieve their financial stability earlier in life. In other words, if you're going to be a carpenter, you can go right out of high school. I think a carpenter, I was doing a little research, $51,000. Maybe you're not going to get $51,000 that first year, but you're going to get the second year versus going to college. Not every kid is going to go to college. I worked with one of the construction kids on an Eagle Scout project in the cemetery. He's over at Eastern Michigan University in the construction program there, and he's going to get his 4-year degree. I have another student, Greg, that goes to our church. He's going to go right out of high school and go into the construction world. It's not everybody is a 4-year degree person, but in my opinion, the township employee needs to actually visit the program and see what the kids are doing and not use hearsay ever again on a public medium. So thank you very much for that piece. I have another piece, though. It's not quite as emotional. I have thought a lot about this. I have been in the township for over 50 years. I have seen the electrician, the fireman, the attorney, and a multitude of other people as supervisors. I think that we have a wonderful clerk department. I think we have a wonderful treasurer's department. But there are some departments in this organization that are not under the clerk and not under the treasurer. I don't know. After I retired, I worked with Bart Clark and another committee working on what we could do because we did not have a supervisor at that time. We had a supervisor, but he was ill, and supervisors do not have to put in 40 hours a week. They can put in whatever hours they choose. I have talked to Barb Pilata, I've talked to Derek Smith, 2 different views, a view from the elected and a view from the department head. They have very differing views, and I respect their views. But I would like to see this township at least look at having a superintendent, kind of a city manager, because we are the type of township we have, the Charter Township. In the Charter Township Act, there is a superintendent to kind of manage other departments, because we have some great department heads. We have a few people who need some guidance. And that doesn't seem to be happening. So I have brought you, I'm asking for a committee of people, I guess, and maybe some electeds to be part of that and to really look at that form of government, because we are not doing well. So, thank you. I got probably, let's see if there's 7 there, would you?
3, 4, 5, 6.
There's 7.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Okay. We don't have a public hearing, we don't have presentations, we don't have carryover. So, consent agenda. Number 1, request to approve the Board of Trustees regular closed session minutes of February 20, 2024. 2, request to approve the February 26, 2024 check run including ACH, $650,000 and $371.96, and ratify the February 16, 2024 payroll of $370,000, $209, $1,000,000.39. I need a motion to,
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
thank you.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carry. We go to regular business. Number one, we have the, number one, we have the additional money for gravel roads. As you know, this is happening for many, many years. Brian, Ron, and Paul, Kerry, you guys remember, for many, many years, we're having this issue about, with the county. We have been getting we're not getting as much funds like before, but our residents are coming and they has been actually addressed to my office saying that we need to support our dirt roads. And we need to put more gravel, and it's something that I believe most of us want to see in good condition or infrastructure. So I have here, hi, how you doing?
Good evening, Jose. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'll take a couple minutes to introduce myself. My name is Chris Dowell. I'm an employee of the Road Commission for Oakland County. I'm the district superintendent out of the Davisburg Garage. Quick little history about myself. I've been employed by the Road Commission since 2001. 2006, I became a foreperson. 2017, I became a district superintendent. My foreperson's experience, 1 year down in Southfield in the urban district. After that, I have served my time Lake Orion in our District 3. 11 years as a foreperson there, maintaining Orion, Brandon, Oxford, and Addison townships at various times. Like I said, 2017, I became a district superintendent. I spent about 3.5 years in Milford in that current role. 2020, I transferred up to Davisburg, where I hope to retire. Like I said, I've been there since 2020. Quick little synopsis. I was asked to speak based on your gravel roads and our ability to maintain them and to keep them adequately safe and travelable. It's a subjective discussion. At best, gravel roads are always under the current weather conditions, traffic counts, so on and so forth, Mother Nature around them. Best of my knowledge, since I've been employed at the Road Commission, Independence Township has invested approximately $50,000 a year investing in gravel. I believe about, I can go back roughly 2004, 5-ish, gravel was $7, $8 a ton. So at $50,000, you were getting a reasonable investment and an adequate return to gravel roads. In 2023, we're currently, or in 2023, not currently, but last year, we paid approximately $21 a ton for gravel. The $50,000 investment that you guys are currently still upholding isn't sufficiently doing enough to maintain the roads. The local road system. Let me back up there for a minute. The primary road system is maintained by us at the county. The local roads are an investment from you guys. Not only do you invest in the gravel, you invest in chloride. A quick little backup and why I'm here and why I feel it's important to fund your gravel roads. You have approximately 30.5 miles of local gravel roads. You have a little over 1.5 miles plus or minus of sublocal gravels, which are more sublocal streets, smaller cottage type streets. Currently at $50,000 a year, you're getting 1 mile and change at that investment. So if you take your 30 miles of road at that investment, if you stayed status quo, just imagine what it would take to continue to gravel your roads and keep them in maintainable shape. There's a program out of Michigan Technological University called LTAP. They assist us with educational processes and continuing education of what it takes to maintain gravel roads. In their educational process, they say on an average of every 10 years, based on traffic counts, of course, that a road should be re-graveled. Work up at Oak Hill and Dartmouth, up in the corner here. We've improved some drainage last fall. Take that back. I'm sorry, I got to back up. We did Indianwood last year also. That was your investment last year from the township. I'm sorry I missed that one, people. I humbly apologize. But if we continue to this corner, and we did the Estons, both South and North Eston, if we picked up Dartmouth and the back portion of Indianwood, Marmora, Matawan, picked up those sublocals. And if we continued to work our way, if we worked our way from that northeast quadrant, worked our way to a center section, picked up Pine Knob, all the way down to the bottom Pine Knob here, Fleming's Lake, that would be a following year investment. It's 2025, 2026, we work the middle part. What do we got? That's Perry Lake, both north and south of 75. We pick up Hubbard over here. 2027, we work over back to Reese and Allen. 2028, we would come down here. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed Waterford Road down in the bottom doing that center section. These are all color-coded just to help out. 2028, we come down here and button up the remainders, Deer Lake, Foster, Clement, and your sublocals. The way that I've looked at this, and there's no right or wrong answer, but I've worked at this subjectively and doing it so that we could not create a patchwork, as if we just started in a quadrant and worked our way around and got everything re-graveled. And of course, this would come with an investment. You could look at changing, altering this map, scaling back, adding to it in any way, shape, or form that you would choose to. Biggest thing with gravel roads is they're ever changing. That's a fact that will never go away. Traffic counts, Mother Nature in the winter, plowing to remove the snow off them. They all remove gravel. Motor traffic removes gravel. You can see it every one of your cars. I'm sure you've traveled a gravel road. You take the sand with it, the aggregate ends up staying, the clays get broken down. The clays are the silts that blow away. They're the binder. They're the things that hold everything together. So when we apply the chloride, that's what basically becomes the glue and keeps things together. From a supervisor's standpoint, this is an investment in your township residents, nothing else. We will continue as the road commission out of our district to do the best that we can do. Whether there's a further investment or not an investment, nothing's going to change. We're going to continue to do the best we can to maintain your roads. We'll use all our available equipment that's currently working. Our chloride program will not change. You guys invest in that. But at some point, I really do think you owe the residents a look at this. They're gravel roads. Now, people made a choice to live on them, but that's a choice that they made because of what they choose to live on. But they do, in my humble opinion, deserve something to make them the best maintainable surfaces we can. A gravel road's never going to be perfect, but you do have to invest in it at some point. Where that investment stays the same is totally up to you as a group. Whether it goes up or down is totally up to you as a group again. I can tell you though, from the road commission standpoint, we'll continue to do our best we can with your roads. I will humbly answer any questions that I possibly can.
Thank you. Any questions from board members? Carrie?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
started to say something about your bid process. When did you last go out for bid, and when will you go out again?
We have not gone out yet. Letters have gone out to all the townships. What happens, our Department of Highway Maintenance, Mr. Aguilar got a letter back in January. What it asks for is a commitment from each township. Once that is done, I believe somewhere March 10th, 15th, there's a deadline on there. It usually is held over a little bit to make sure that everybody has the appropriate time to decide what they're doing. And then as a whole, the road commission goes out to bid for gravel. Last year we had 3 different contractors throughout the county. I can tell you typically that the contractor in this area that has serviced the District 2 area is right out of Holly, Tri-City Aggregates. It's a local product. It's very good gravel. It's a gravel I actually like to use. It's 23A modified gravel, higher clay content, which helps with binding the aggregate together when chloride's applied. You have a contractor out of, I believe he might be out of Lyon, that usually bids on the southwestern part. And last year we also had Bedrock out of, I think right here in Waterford, might be their home office, or it's Ortonville. They were also a bidder for it. But the bid process happens when all the townships commit or decommit to investing in it. And then we go out for bids as a whole, which as a whole, if things are actually probably up as with anything, hopefully pricing gets better. That's still not my ball of wax to comment on the bid process, but that is how the process works.
So they do bid yearly then?
Yes, ma'am. We have had contracts go out. I would actually have to check on the verbiage, but we have had contractors hold pricing year to year, but it does go out each year. A contractor might come back, or we approach the contractor and they say, okay, this is what we had X amount for last year. We know that we have townships A, B, C, and D committing. Would you be willing? Or it goes back out to bid.
I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
I was at another neighboring municipality several years ago, and the township elected to purchase gravel on their own, and we partnered with the road commission then to spread that gravel that we had purchased. Do you have any other current municipalities that you're under that same program? And I just wonder, because it may behoove us to go out for bid ourselves possibly and see if we could get, it doesn't sound logically that we could get a better bid, but if.
The only other one that I know that does it currently is Groveland does do that. Mr. De Palma goes, I can't say goes, I don't know the inner workings, but he does go through American Ag or Levy and gets his gravel. Now he does partner with us through tri-party money to pay for the, I think he uses his tri-party money for trucking, to pay the trucking cost of it. With the gravel program, we provide the vendor bids, they provide the trucking, we provide the grading, and we provide the application of chloride. That's what the road commission does. We spread it, we go through and give, you guys currently use 5, or commit to 5 applications of chloride. So in the gravel process, as we're going through, we add the extra layer or the extra application of chloride so that we just don't have an open aggregate base laying in wait for the next application. As we're putting it down, we're putting the dust control in with it to ensure that the product isn't going to go, blow away or be untravelable, just based on traffic patterns. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, we all drive different. Braking acceleration is huge when it comes to a gravel road surface. So if we get it locked down and it stays in place, then that's part of it. So we're not going to leave the investment unprotected.
One more question, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Nope, you're
Outside of this suggestion, if we did over and above an investment, if we stayed the current course that we're at now, knowing that I-75, all of that bridge work and the road work now has come to our community.
Yes, ma'am.
So closing down I-75 is going to further heavily impact some of our main thoroughfares to get people around to get back on I-75. So
Yes,
I think
ma'am.
we will have overage and spillage onto certainly our dirt roads. Since that is the case, would you recommend, if we stayed our current course, that we logically, should we increase the number of treatments and things up from 5 if we chose to stay our current course, just because of that for the next, I think we're slotted for the next 3 years, correct? For this area?
The MDOT project?
Yeah,
To the best of my knowledge,
Yeah.
yes,
So
that is,
just
to the best of my
trying to
knowledge, that project is to last through 2026.
yeah, okay.
So yes, it's not just impacting you, ma'am, as.
Correct. But I
I've
mean
been
our
the superintendent since
Yeah.
2020 here. The toughest thing, and this is just a standalone comment, is detours are typically not put on gravel roads. They're not posted that way. But the reality of life is that people find their easiest ways. Going back to adding additional applications, there's a portion of that how many times can you continually go grade and reapply chloride? There's a science and an art to chloriding. Constantly regrading and breaking it down isn't necessarily doing the best for it, because as you're grading, you're breaking the clay down. The clay's the binder. The silts is once you're breaking the clays down to the finer silts and they're blowing away, you're losing your ability to bind. I can go through in chloride, and I am absolutely 100% sure every one of you sitting on a township board has either heard from your constituents or whatever. The road commission was out grading in the rain. There are days we schedule, there are days we know when to. I will say we're very good at what we do. That's probably a pretty humbling statement, but I think we know it pretty darn good. It takes a little bit of moisture to work, but there are days that we schedule, and I can go through and grade in chloride. I apply your extra application. 2 days later, we have Mother Nature's finest 5-inch rain, which that's an exaggeration, of course. But let's say we get that one-off 2-3 inch rain in a couple hours. The traffic count is absorbing it, and it blows the road out. Now I'm going to turn back around. I think your best investment is to really stay the course. The better investment is to reinvest in the gravel. Most of your roads are at somewhat of a maintainable surface from my opinion as a superintendent driving. Can they always be better? Yes, you have to invest in them to make them better. But it would go with the MDOT project. You don't know where people are going to go. We've dealt with this with our own projects also. Even when we detour things, I'm going through it with the Davisburg Road right now. Through the course of this winter, I have had to maintain gravels in the Davisburg, Springfield Township, with the inability to use any chloride. It's winter, we don't use it in winter. Mother Nature has thrown us one heck of a good curveball, even though it was pretty darn good forecasting that we were going to have an abnormal winter. And the roads have just been a mess. Here's the best part, well, here's the worst part about it. That was not the approved detour. None of those gravel roads were. But people are going to go where they go. If Cranberry Lake is no good, and people are going that way to get to Allen, to get to Holcomb, to get up to Davisburg, and they see, oh man, this morning that road was blown out. Well, today I'm going up to Hubbard, and I'm going to take Allen up to Radley Lake. I don't know, humbly speaking, that just saying I'm going to apply more chloride and I'm going to grade more often is an answer. Now comes the added piece of that. I also have 4 other townships that I take care of grading and chloriding along with yours. So I'm on a set schedule per se once second or third week of April, depending on Mother Nature, and we can get back into the chloride season and get into dust control. I'm on a pretty set schedule of what I do and how I maintain those townships also. So committing to another application, I'm not going to tell you that that's wrong, but I'm going to definitely say I don't believe that's right. You have to have also personal recognizance of how you drive. If a road is beat up for Mother Nature, you know, I feel for you, but you have to slow down and drive to the road conditions, because we can't be everywhere all the time fixing all of them. I hear your pain, believe me, I live the pain and the frustration. I'll say it very heartily, and I believe this from the bottom of my heart, no matter what anybody thinks. I believe in 3 things. People need fire, police, and EMS as quickly and safely as possible. That's what I believe in. It might sound like a soapbox speech, but that's really what I believe in. And the added traffic and pressure on the roads, I can't control it, I can't change it, but as a district, I can promise you we're going to do the best we can to maintain them. But I do really humbly feel at some point you need to look at some type of program. I can't tell you what it is. I can't tell you if it's status quo. I can't tell you if it's backing up. I can't tell you if it's going forward. But I do know it takes something. A quick little one. When I first assumed maintenance of Addison Township. Bruce Pearson was a newly elected supervisor. I'm going to have to say maybe 2007, 2008. Mr. Pearson came to me, and I was young foreman at the time, or not a seniority foreman. He said, "What can I do to my roads?" He says, "We don't have much up here, but we got a lot of gravel roads." And I said, "You can go around, we can take a ride, and we can look at all these roads and see what they need." Now, everything in a good gravel program starts from top to bottom. One, you have to drain them. So you have to maintain the drainage. You have to get the forestry away so we can reestablish the ditching. Gravel migrates, ditches fill in, people put leaves in them, so on and so forth. But you still have to have gravel on them. And for years of not doing anything, Addison was in pretty tough shape. And Mr. Pearson took a long stance at it, and he says, "What do I do?" I says, "We sit down and we put a program together. And you get every single road, including the sublocals, which most people don't even look at them. They're the small sublocals that you have a handful of residents living on. You guys have, like I said, a mile and change of them. I think he has 7 or 8 miles of them, give or take. But at some point, these people deserve something. Once again, I can't tell you what that is, but I just believe they deserve something on their roads. And it also gives me the ability to maintain them and keep them to the best that we can keep them. Not being perfect, it's still a gravel road. But at some point, it has to be, I think, looked at.
Thank you. Anyone else? Trustee Morocco?
1,600 tons a mile, how many inches is that giving us?
That's between 3 and 4 inches. That is based on a 10-foot travel lane. On a local road gives you approximately 3 to 4 inches of gravel.
So on our standard dirt road, it's going to give us 2 inches?
No, sir. If you do the program correctly, you don't pave out, or paving, I guess would be the literal term of what we're doing. My background before I was working for the road commission, I worked for Thompson, two very large road builders in the Midwest. I worked for Thompson McCulley, and I worked for Gallagher Asphalt, 2 very reputable road builders. So I'm sorry if I use the term paving. But you only gravel out to, you try to keep them at the 10-foot width. Gravel is going to migrate. Traffic always takes it out.
So you do 10 foot down the middle and use that for the crowning, is that what you're saying?
2 10-foot travel lanes.
2 10 foot on each
Yes, sir.
side?
Two 10-foot travel lanes
At
based off
3 to
of-
4 inches?
Yes, sir.
So in order to meet the standards of this college study that you have to try to hit them twice every decade? Is that what you're
Give or take, yes, sir.
saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long has it been since the county stopped paying for the county roads? Do you know?
I can't answer that question,
When
sir.
they gave up on them?
Well, I wouldn't.
Well, that we had to start paying for them. So this, I got a copy of this document of proposed roads for 2024. Is this what you're proposing on doing?
That is what I based on an investment. I had to do it somehow.
Right, no, I know,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just, but is
Yeah.
this,
Yes,
if
sir.
we approve this, is this what we would expect to get, or would we get more than this?
That would be based on 2023 pricing, sir.
Okay, because I went through, I also was provided with the lineal feet of each of the roads, so I just quickly added the lineal feet above these roads, and it only comes out to 4.7 miles.
For the first year, there is a question as to whether or not a border road would be taken into account, Oak Hill Road. So I left a cushion in there for the first year for Oak Hill Road. Oak Hill Road is maintained by Brandon Township out of District 3.
Right.
I have been told that there's been a conversation. To me, I left a cushion in there, sir, for that purpose, if you guys chose to do that. That is not maintained out of District 2, but I left that cushion in there, not knowing which, like I said, this is a choice of you guys.
Right, now I get it. So, but if we contribute 200 grand for 6 miles of road and we only end up getting the 4.7,
Then we can adjust through here, sir.
and who in our township's gonna be overseeing that?
The adjustment,
Yeah,
that would be myself and the foreperson, working with Mr. Yeager's come to me, we talked to Jose.
Yes.
We would
so
sit,
it's gonna be one, well, Rick's our finance guy, so I don't think, he's not the road guy, I wouldn't think.
If it was me, if I knew that the whole investment was going straight to Independence Township, I would bring you a new synopsis of where we'd go.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're getting
Yes,
our
sir.
6 miles.
Yeah.
Where, you know,
Yes, sir.
this doesn't add up to 6 miles.
Yeah, no,
That's why I wanted to ask.
Yes, I left that buffer in there
Right.
specifically based on that. That was not a conversation that took place with District 2.
Right.
And since it is a county road, you know, as a side note for us board, because we'd have to vote on this, Rick, what's preventing us from using the millions of dollars of excess road repair money that we already have to put this
As far as I'm
in?
aware, the legal opinion on that, we have to use it for paved roads, not gravel roads.
Who provided that?
I believe Dan, I believe you guys did.
But I think it was before us.
It could have been,
Yeah.
could have been. I know that there is an
I mean, I
opinion
can
on it
check,
though.
but I think it was before us.
So Dan, I know this is off subject, but what, you know, we got a couple $1 million sitting around, doesn't appear to be any intent to use it. What does it take for us to put it to use? I mean, I'm not in favor of using general fund money to pave roads if we got $2 million sitting in an account for roads, you know?
So the money that we're referring to was raised on the basis of a specific millage. So you have to
Right.
go back to that millage language and determine what did the voters vote on. And like I said, I haven't looked at it. I can certainly look at it again. I can review the prior opinion. Maybe it was done by my office, to be honest with you. It's been maybe 3 or 4 years since it's been done. But the answer is it's based upon the millage language. So if that money was raised for the purposes, as Rick thinks, paved roads, then you could not use them for dirt roads.
Well,
Gravel
I'd
roads.
want to have you take another look at that, because
Sure,
we're
we
going
can
to be
pull it
sitting
out.
on this
I-
$2 million forever if we don't start using it for something. And I'm a dirt road liver, so, resident, so, you know, I'm in favor of using all the our money for people that live on dirt roads to have our dirt roads maintained like the people that live on paved roads that got theirs maintained. So I would, I'm not going to move forward on it, but I would like to have, exhaust all means necessary to tap into that so that we could expedite this plan if needed. We could add to it if, that would give us a large amount of money to use for road improvements, you know? And we
So why
don't
don't-
have a plan for it right now, so
Why don't we redistribute that legal opinion, and then the board or the supervisor can decide whether or not they want further work from me, or that legal opinion satisfies the board without spending any money on it. It's already been done. Okay? Is that fair?
Yeah, I just think it's worth a look at, because then I'm not as concerned about general fund money, because we've already all invested in, and if we're gonna be using dirt roads for cut-throughs because of 75, and I know that living on a road that an elementary school is on, there's a lot of people that drive down that dirt road that aren't the people that live on the dirt road, so it isn't the argument that only people that live there will live on dirt, you know, drive on dirt roads is not, I don't believe to be an accurate statement in the township, because I cut through them all the time, you know, but that's just my opinion on it.
Okay. Trustee Taylor?
Yeah, thanks for being here. I appreciate all the great information. Trustee Morocco asked similar question I was going to ask, and it didn't sound like you had the answer to. That was just, I didn't know until tonight that dirt roads are treated differently than county-maintained paved roads. That you don't, did I state that correctly, or? Not maintained, but
I
that
guess that
we
would-
have to pony up money to, it's just sort of like, well, the county's, is using an example of a paved road. The county is going to maintain the paved roads, but we have to pay for the asphalt.
I
Is
wish,
that- is that a-
I wish in my capacity as a district superintendent,
Yeah.
you're asking something that, could I try to get into the realm of who's responsible? And there is Act 51 language that's outside of my scope as a maintenance form.
Yeah.
I don't believe we do any more or less maintenance to a road, whether it's paved or gravel. It just maybe warrants a different type. Today, I had a grader out in 4 or 5 townships today, even though everybody said, well, it rained. Well, it's a perfect time to turn over a hard road after the rain. I look at the forecast, consult with my 4 persons, and say, what are we going to do today, guys? It's a rain day. Well, you look at it, so I had a grader on your gravels today.
Yeah.
Perfect day to go spot grade after it quit raining. You'll go out, We're doing still what we consider winter maintenance. We're still in winter. Meteorologically speaking, we're not. March 1st, spring. But we're still in winter. So I had a grader on your road today, as much as I had a pothole patching crew in your sublocal streets today.
Yeah.
So the discussion of what we're doing to maintain as opposed from pavement to gravel, I as a maintenance superintendent don't find any difference. I had a Vacdrot working today. He worked both on paved roads and he worked both on a vac-on machine doing drainage pipes and drainage structures. He was both on paved roads in Holly and he was on gravel roads in Holly. I don't differentiate myself as a maintenance superintendent between a level of service, whether it's a gravel road or whether it's a paved road. The art of the discussion of the responsibility is far, and I'm sorry to say it, but is above me. And I'll humbly admit that I don't know the inner workings to that degree. If I did, I probably wouldn't be standing here doing this. I would be doing something else. But as far as maintaining roads, I'm not going to stop maintaining your gravels. Your paved roads are paved roads. And the level of work still goes back to three things: police, fire, and EMS as safely and quickly as possible. Like I said, you can all read into that statement, but that's what I believe is the deserved of every resident, every piece of the motoring public. And there's only one way to do that, and that's maintain all of them. I don't have anything that tells me if a gravel road is failing and a paved road is failing to necessarily make choices. Now I have to, and we do what is the safest, most efficient fix, but both of them are going to get fixed. So for lack of a better answer, sir, I don't have one as far as how the investment works and how the Act 51 gets
Yeah, and I can,
gets
that was a
split.
curiosity more than anything. I understand we have to
Yeah.
maintain the roads for the residents. That's,
Yeah.
you know,
I wish I had a
perfectly
better
clear,
answer.
but-
Like I said, I really
No,
wish I did.
It's a curiosity because, I
Yeah.
mean, I know the reason why we passed the millage was because, yes, the county is responsible for maintaining the roads, but there's also a finite amount of dollars, and so the residents pass a 4-year millage.
Yep.
And to answer Trustee Morocco's question, that millage was very specific to primary roads with specific names of those primary roads and
Yes, sir.
which specific years those roads would be attended to. So that was
Yeah.
a very specific, finite, limited way in which the voters approved that. So I'm of the opinion that, and I would concur with the legal opinion I think that has been presented to us, that we are not liberated to use that money for anything other than those primary roads that are named in that ballot language.
And can I interject a little bit? While that process was going on, the maintenance department was also assisting in some of those. We did culvert changes prior to, we went and cameraed culverts, we did deberming. So we were, even though it was a township initiative, you guys passed the tax and invested in the primary road system, the maintenance department was also doing things. We were working ahead of you guys, or ahead of the project. I would not say we were 100% fully involved in every aspect. There was still part of the contract that was done, but the maintenance department also contributed to that project. So
Yeah.
there was a vested interest in our part also.
Yeah, Craig Bryson had mentioned that back at the time, that because of our investment, I mean, he applauded the effort. I mean, obviously, the majority of the residents passed it, supported it, but through our investment, it allowed the county to provide additional investments, value adds, if you will, that wouldn't have, rather than playing catch up. And I think what we're talking about here, despite my own internal, grumbling about how and why we ended up paying for a greater share of dirt roads, the fact remains we can't let them get to a condition to where they're beyond repair and it's going to cost even more money. It's going to cost money, and I'm sure God's Auto Service would appreciate the additional business,
It costs
with
money.
tie rod ends and so on. But
it costs money in our equipment also. I mean,
Right.
it beats up our graders and our dump trucks are now, a grader is roughly $400,000. Back in the day when the gravel was $8 a ton, graders were $200. Our latest dump trucks are 400 plus. Yeah, believe me, the endeavor of what you guys did, I can't thank you from the maintenance department enough, because it took a lot of the burden off of us, and then what it allowed us to do is get off the primaries and get into some of your sub-locals. I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm about to face the same thing in the neighborhood I live in, and trying to get my local residents together and say, we need to bite the bullet before our pavement gets too far gone, and we're responsible for it.
Okay. Jim, just something to follow up. We have somebody who always take a look how the roads, the condition of the roads. There's Dave Moran. Dave Moran is our building director. So he drive around and he take a look and inform me how the conditions are. About the money that we're talking about, the leftover from the millage that Trustee Morocco mentioned, last week and this week we were working on some ideas already, some facts, and I talked to Treasurer Brown, who came up with a good idea to make a presentation to the board in the next meeting, so we can see some ideas and I want to have some direction from the board to see what we're gonna do. But we already have been working already with, I mentioned to Kerry and Paul that. So in the next board meeting, hopefully I will have a presentation to see what we can do, so I can get some direction from you guys, from the board.
Okay, are you suggesting that this is tabled then? Or is this a
Oh,
separate?
no, this is separate. No, this is dirt, this is dirt, this is about the dirt road, this is about gravel. I'm talking about the leftover money from the millage.
Oh, I see,
Yeah,
okay.
two different things.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
Yeah, we actually, we're working on it, and
Mhm.
hopefully next board meeting we have it.
Well, our paved roads are gonna need support at some level, and
At
I'm
some
sure
level,
we'll spend the
yes.
money in an appropriate manner.
Yes. All right, Trustee Ritchie?
Yeah, I guess I think it was around 2013 when we voted in the $50,000 per year to augment the graveling of the roads and everything. And I guess the way you're talking tonight, you're acting like the county puts no gravel into the roads.
Depending on how you do it, there's tri-party funding where there's a program facet tri-party where if you utilize that program, county government pays a third, we pay a third, the township pays a third. That's, like I said, wholly up to each board as an individual of how you do it. Yes, do I have gravel participants that have done it using a piece of it? Yes.
I'm not talking about the tri-party funds. I understand what you're saying about that, but you're saying that the county does not put any gravel into the roads as part of the routine maintenance of the road?
Yes, we do on the primary road system, plus when I have to do routine maintenance, yes, I haul gravel out of my road.
Right.
I keep, on average, about 1,500 tons of 23A gravel in the garage. We also use asphalt millings in the winter, not a product that's suitable in the summer months. It doesn't, chloride doesn't bind to it. It's an oil-based product. It's a recycle. But I on average, keep about 1,500 tons of gravel in my yard as needed when we need to do spot approach repairs, when we have covered areas in the spring, when we've gone out and Mother Nature's finest decides that her frost is going to give out in the peat bog area. We put 3A stone down. Then we put gravel, millings possibly over it, gravel. We used to use 22X slag.
Understood. I'm not trying to cut you off, just trying to
Yep.
speed it up a little bit here.
No,
The,
it's- but
like you
yes,
say,
we do.
the $50,000 they were using back in, say, around 2013 or 14, I can't remember exactly which year it was, but I was thinking it was 13 that we did this first time, because we were only paying for the chloriding. So we added the gravel, the $50,000 worth of gravel. But that was to augment what the county was utilizing, not meant to be the sole provider of gravel for the township. So anyway, that's my opinion of what it was. And to me, gravel roads, as well as the in these neighborhoods, as well as the paved roads, are county roads. They're not part of what our tax dollars are made to maintain. So to me, if we're gonna look at increasing money for the dirt roads, we already have a program to do that, and we've been utilizing, trying to get people to pave the roads with the neighborhood road improvement project. And it's like, to me, any of these neighborhoods, gravel or paved, that want to improve their roads, these residents have to have some skin in the game. You can't look at the township just to pay whatever it takes to redo your roads, so. Residents, yeah, the road repair belongs to the residents. And granted, we've talked about cut-through roads and everything else that, is there a way maybe we can supplement that to some degree? I guess I'm open to that, but just to, take and put 4 times the money in, into gravel than what we've been doing, is really taxing the whole township to take care of gravel roads. And that's not, I don't think that's what the residents are expecting out of us, so.
Treasurer Brown.
Thank you. Ron touched on a couple things that I agree with. I look at it as these are not primary roads. They're residential roads. They're gravel and residential, and we're not spending any money on all the paved roads that need repairs in people's neighborhoods without them getting skin in the game. And so the other pieces I look at is we're going to take $200,000 a year and put it into a low-density area. So we're going to spend $200,000 on the lowest density places with tax money that came from residents who live in high-density places. And what's the fairness of that, right? Because my responsibility is to look at where the money came from, and it came from all the township residents. And the same goes true for the extra money from the millage. For me, using that money on something that is going to be utilized by a relatively small percentage of the public is the wrong thing to do with the taxpayers' money. It needs to be utilized in a way that's going to be used by the most residents we can, probably on primary roads. So I know we've been putting $50,000 in, but something else that sort of strikes me is the number of times tonight I've heard it said we should invest in our roads. They're not our roads. They're the road commission roads. And often residents don't know the difference. They've moved here from cities, and the cities own their roads. Independence Township doesn't own a single road. So the roads are either controlled by the Road Commission of Oakland County, or they're private and owned by the residents. We don't own any roads, but for that millage we passed, we don't collect taxes for roads. We do the best we can with what we've got, but for me, ramping up to $200,000 in a low-density area, I don't think it's the right thing to do, because all those residents are paying for that who live in higher densities and are likely not to drive out that way. My thoughts.
Just another comment. I mean,
Trustee Ritchie.
Like each mill of tax that we collect, is equal to, I'm just using rough numbers now, approximately $2 million. So, we talked about the transit money that's being collected. Not that we have any control over that, but I'm just saying if we could get 1 mil of that transit money brought back to us, to invest in roads, then to me, then we can utilize it on dirt or paved roads, whatever. But I mean, there needs to come up with some kind of formula or some kind of methodology on how we're going to attack these residential roads. So, but like I say, to look at one little piece of it and say, okay, on dirt roads we're going to put $200,000 a year into these dirt roads. Like I say, to me, you're taxing everybody to do a maintenance on a dirt road. So, and we're not doing that on any of the paved roads. So. And like I say, to me, if just like Thindera Park has a SAD to do snow plowing, each one of these residential roads could have an SAD to keep the road maintained as well. So.
Yeah, I just want to mention to all of you that I got a lot of people approached to my office, and I have been talking several people that would like to have a better infrastructure in the roads. And the reason I bring this today, and I work with Rick and the counties, so I want to bring it to you guys to give me a direction, because people are concerned about the roads. If that's the direction you guys going to take, I understand, but I want to make sure that you understood that a lot of people are concerned. I tried with the county. We have budget $50,000, which is not enough, that we already contribute. I mean, I understand you guys brought a good point, but also our local residents has been asking for our support to help them with that. And as he says, infrastructure is important when the fire department need to move along, or during difficult conditions. We need to move for ambulance or something. It's very difficult accessibility to some of those roads. I just want to help our residents. But sure, go ahead, Maverick.
Just out of curiosity, with our lobbyist group, have you approached them to see if there's any state or federal grants that we can look into that may help aid the residents?
I asked the questions about anything that they can find for us, and I mean, they're still working on it. I didn't hear anything back yet, but I did ask the question, sure. And we met with them.
Yeah, but the communication I heard was that there's nobody at the state that's gonna give out money to do residential streets. They don't have that money. They can't keep up the main roads done, so we're not getting more money from them on it. I mean, if there was money to be had, the road commission would go get the money, so.
Trustee Moran.
Well, I don't technically agree with the residential road comments that are going on here, because Oak Hill Road's certainly not considered a residential road, in my opinion. We do have some cut-through roads that are, and that's because the county won't pave Oak Hill Road. You know, you have to go all the way to Seymour Lake Road from here to get between Sashaba and M15. That's crazy that it's 2023 and we don't have a paved road for 5 miles to get between two main thoroughfares, you know, in my opinion. That road makes more sense to invest money in because it's a major east to west road, you know. I live on Pine Knob Road. It's graded. We have a school. I think it might get a little more attention because of the buses and all of that. I don't think that the benefits of gravel are anywhere near the benefits of grading and calcium chloride, because we go for weeks sometimes in a year that we can't even go outside. The dust is so thick. My swimming pool is covered with mud on the bottom. Everything's filthy. It's a haze. It looks like it's foggy out because they're doing 50 miles an hour down a non-residential road. If it's 50 miles an hour, I don't consider it a residential road. One of the things that we need to do is we need to get these speeds under control. That crap that the state did, you know, making every road 50 miles an hour, besides it's dangerous, the dust that it kicks up and the potholes that it creates and the gravel that it throws is a serious issue with the deterioration of the road. So I think that conversation needs to be equally as important as slowing these cars down. I mean, you know, go out on a dirt road that got graded and it hasn't rained in a week and see what it's like when a car goes by at 50 miles an hour. The dust travels hundreds of feet from the road and covers everything you own. Your cars, everything are filthy. You wake up in the morning, you have to run your windshield wipers and it's just like mud running off of your windshields if you park outside. Gravel rains once, it's gone. The same potholes come back because you can't get it to bind into the same ones that have been there for 10 years where they're accelerating, decelerating at the intersections. You know, you guys do a good job of touching up the intersections. And I do think you guys do a good job with what you have to work with. But
Thank you.
The conditions that we're living in out there, whether it be residential or not, from the speeds and the gravel and only getting 5 treatments a year, and I don't know if that's on every mile of road in the township or not of calcium chloride. We can have really good years, and last year wasn't a bad year for eating dust, but we've had years where we literally couldn't enjoy going outside for weeks at a time because the cars going by so fast and the dust being so high. So I'm probably more in the middle of I'd rather see some of this money go more for dust control. I had the same situation where I brought this up when they re-gravelled Pine Knob Road for the residents who live there by the music theater. That's only going to help them till the next rain, and then they're going to be eating dust for the rest of the concert season. You know, so I was pushing at that point because of that influx of 13,000 people going onto that more of a residential winding road. They didn't really benefit that much from the gravel as they would have from additional calcium chloride treatments. I would just like to see more of dial in the needs from all those angles, but you're saying you might not have the resources for additional treatments, you know, so that is a factor.
Everything comes with a cost.
Right.
I mean,
But
that's-
I would
that is-
like to see
that's-
some of that also. I'm not saying that we can't throw a bone to it and help it a little bit, but the 200 grand is still only gonna do the roads that we talked about. And then the county's still gonna bring out part of their 15,000 tons to fix up all the other roads for the following 5 years that aren't on that rotating program when the roads get bad, So the service, depending on where you live in the quadrant, you're not gonna see any benefit from the graveling until your 5th year that it comes to your neighborhood. So that's kind of a little conflicting for me on the benefit, but I'm not opposed to doing something, but I think this is a little bit more than that I'm comfortable with.
At some point, and I'm sorry to interrupt, sir, but at some point, the way this was drawn up is you have to,
Right.
if the investment is made, you have to start somewhere and you have to finish somewhere.
Right, correct.
And it, from an economical standpoint of whatever it is, if it's still a continuous of the status quo, we're going to work at it diligently as best we can. But it's going to take that much longer to even get to those last roads. And it's with your input. When typically we come back to the supervisor's office and we say, okay, here's where we're at, and these are the list of proposed roads that, we would like to do based on what we see. We're on them, very, very frequently. We assess them. We know what we're grading. I ran a grader years ago. I know what it's like to turn into cobblestone. I know what it's like to not have any suitable material to grade, yet you're still applying chloride to a non-suitable material. At some point, you have to have a gravel to put chloride to. We're still doing our best to maintain what's here. Like I said, this is totally, I'm here hopefully to provide you with good information of maintenance practices and what it looks like.
Okay.
That's it. The decision is yours. I'm just telling you from a standpoint of what we're maintaining, and we're going to continue to do our best with what's here. But at that, when you talk about getting to it and breathing the dust and everything else, you're still going to have that. But at some point, when you get good, suitable gravel on these roads, the chloride does lock down. Once again, we can't go to controlling everybody's driving habits. That's unrealistic. It's no different than people leaving a street corner and putting their foot in it and finding deteriorating asphalt. Trust me, in my life at Thompson, McCulley, and Gallagher Asphalt, I have a very, very good knowledge of asphalt, and it only has an inherent lifespan.
Okay.
But that's another discussion.
Right.
The gravels can be maintained. They
Oh.
can be addressed.
Okay. So, I need the direction. Somebody would like to make a motion? Or
I'm going to make a comment.
a comment? Okay.
I hear a lot of heartburn over
Mhm.
the dollar amount.
Mhm.
And I also, I hear the comments about these are residential roads, but I also understand that some of these are secondary, not primary, but Walden Road, Oak Hill Road. I know people blaze through North Eston to save from going all the way to Baldwin to get up into Oxford, et cetera. So I think somewhere in the middle lies the truth. I also observed that the township in 2013 committed $50,000 in the spirit of supporting dirt roads. It's now 2024, and calculating for inflation, what is that number? I think, where does that land us? I know the gravel itself has gone up 200 and something percent.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just throwing it out there. I think, maybe, we
Somewhere in between.
we table it, or we come up with a compromise tonight that acknowledges that costs have gone up, but in the spirit of the 2013 board, who said, yes, we are willing to give a nominal amount in support of these roads. Just throwing it out there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And leave it to Trustee Ritchie?
Yeah, just to, I guess, piggyback off that, I guess that's what I was getting at, I guess, when I was trying to speak. I'm not saying that we maybe doesn't deserve some more money, but I think the $200,000 approach is way overboard, and I think it needs to have a different mindset when we get to that. To me, we're improving residential roads. We don't do that for any paved roads or any other roads. We're doing this for this. You know, I guess, to me, part of the spirit of it in 2013 about augmenting with the $50,000 was really, we do other things. We street sweep, we vacuum the sewer, storm sewer pipes, and we do some other things on paved roads. So we are spending money besides just paving them or patching them and that type of thing. So I mean, that's part of the reason why, you know, I guess we thought spending $50,000 or some money on dirt roads was warranted as well, because there's other maintenance things that go along with it. But on the dirt road, got the ditches or, you know, different other things that, you know, there's money being put into as well. So I guess in my mind, I guess I would be comfortable with $100,000, but anything more than that, we need to look at. It has to be, to me, the residents of these roads have to have some skin in the game. If they're not going to be part of an SAD or part of something that they want to participate in, then the township is not, part of the tax dollars is not for roads. So we either need to get a millage for roads or come up with some funding somehow, some way to help with roads. You know, but I mean, the residents coming to you saying we need to fix roads doesn't do any good, because they're not paying any taxes for roads, so.
That's a good point, and I think the number is 100,000 is, since inflation went, we're talking about 226% of cost increase. I think from 50 to 100 is a decent amount, I believe. So, Trustee Moraco.
We do, right now, Rick, we got the $250,000 maximum that we're gonna spend on, that we would match 10% of investments of SADs?
Yeah, there's 250
Right.
budgeted, yeah.
So we do.
None of that money came from tax dollars. That was money raised through
Right. That is correct.
the police
Correct.
fund.
Money
That
for
is
the
not
private
tax, that
road?
was not tax dollars.
Waymaster.
Waymaster.
It's from fines on the overweight trucks. We've always used that money to do it.
That's where that money came. That's
Okay,
not
no,
tax dollars.
okay, I didn't know that, but that's still money that would have went in the general fund that we allocated to private roads.
It would have went to
They
the
don't
police
use it on private
department.
roads.
Huh?
It would have went to the police department, not to
Okay.
us.
But it does eventually, we've allocated it for private, a contribution toward private neighborhood SADs,
That's
correct?
right, 50,000 a year.
50,000?
That's what
That-
comes out of the police fund.
That's for then.
All right,
Neighborhood.
okay, all right.
Just a point of
Oh.
clarity, we don't put any money on private roads. We're not allowed to do it. It can only be done on public roads. So for example, when I got my road repaved, there were no contributions from the township, it's private. We're not allowed to do it. So, the public roads, again, residential streets and whatnot.
Public
Yes, they're
residential
public.
streets.
Public residential,
Right.
just wanted to
Yeah,
clarify.
because I knew we used to give up to up to 10% of the SAD or something that was for,
Yeah, it's changed a little bit, but yes.
okay.
I
So
guess-
I'm just bringing that up, that we do.
But that's
we-
part of the neighborhood road improvement project. And what I'm getting at, as far as I'm concerned, that should be applied to dirt roads as well. If you want to put money in, like
Right.
come up with an SAD to do that, then I guess I would be in favor of utilizing that money similar to a paved road
Okay.
concept, so.
All right.
But that's where that money is in that fund. so.
Okay.
All right, it seems like we can make a motion today for a certain amount. Ron, are you okay with that?
I just said that. so.
I know. So could you make a motion and amend the,
Amend the motion?
yes.
I'll move to approve the purchase of gravel, RCOC, not to exceed in the amount of, there again, I guess I need to, if I say 100,000, is this the 50 we already have, so another 50? So
Yeah,
it's
be an additional
$100,000
50
total.
For a total of 100.
Right,
Yeah.
not to exceed a total of $100,000 and approve for the 2024 budget amendment number 2 to reflect that $100,000 total spending.
Support.
Okay. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No,
All right, well, okay, all right. All right, motion carried. Thank you, good discussion. All right,
Thank you.
Thanks, thank you. All right, Adam? Adam Klein, or Parks and Recreation Director?
Any idea how to get rid of that?
There you go, sir.
Thanks, Rick. Good evening. I have a couple things on the agenda. The first one is a request for a budget amendment to add the chore program, a revenue, and then expenditures. It wasn't a budgeted item. We were requested from the Friends of Independence Township Adult Activity Center that runs our chore program, where they give money for it. They were paying the vendors directly. And they've asked that it revert back to a 2018, where the township pays the vendor and then they repay us that amount. I ran it through Rick. We came up with the line items that are listed on the MAIF, where you have a set a $5,000 amount that allows us to pay the vendor, and then we get repaid from the Friends group. Simple, I guess, budgeting and expenditures, revenues.
Sure. Any questions?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Move to approve the 2024 budget amendment number 3 as presented.
Support.
Okay, and we have to wait for Jim, or?
No.
No? All right,
We got a quorum.
all right. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. Next one. Adam?
Yeah.
You still have?
The next one, I request approval for a purchase of a Caterpillar Model 259 D3 skid steer loader. And the reason we're asking for this is the acquisition of the new land that we purchased. We want to be able to maintain that correctly. And through the maintenance staff, we talked about it. We discussed several options. It is in the budget. This was the best option that we saw that we could use to maintain, plus do some additional things in some of our other properties, and still remain under budget. I believe I put all three of the statements, or all three of the estimates, in the packet. And then I think I added some additional rental equipment that will go with the Caterpillar equipment that we might be able to use.
Okay, any questions? Clark Newbeck?
Can you explain to us what some of the plans are for these projects that they need the equipment for?
The new property that we bought that abuts Clintwood, there's some areas in there that are quite wet, and the fear is that the equipment that we have is going to get stuck. The ground clearance isn't there, and it's not powerful enough to handle. We have to clear there's some deer stands, there's other logs, there's things that are not quite attractive for that property, so we need to clear those out of there. And then additional projects were, you could use to spread some of the millings and things for road repair in Bay Court on the drive. And then again, if we're going to be, we're looking at the Parks and Rec and Senior, looking at revitalizing the McCord property, we could use this equipment to do some cutting and things in there also. Did I answer your question?
I think so. I just didn't know that we had any plans yet, or I hadn't heard of any plans for that new property, nor anything for McCord, so I'm just surprised that.
Yeah, the clearing, and if we're to maintain it, we're going to need this piece of equipment to do that.
So would that mean we would not be using Doran excavating? And they typically use Doran to do a lot of that for them, and I know the DPW has some big equipment as well. So there is not equipment within the township that we currently own that we could use that for?
And talking to the park staff, the answer was no, that this was the piece of equipment they needed to maintain that property.
Okay.
Okay. Treasurer Brown?
Well, I know one of the reasons we bought that property was because of our desire to, in some ways, protect the open space and protect wetlands. There's a lot of wetlands on the property. And I guess I'm a little concerned that we have staff who's talking about wet areas where they might get stuck. Until we have a plan for what we're doing with that property, I don't see why we would spend $80,000 on a brand-new piece of equipment for a property we don't have a plan for yet. And that's 38 acres. I've got to imagine we've got some equipment either in the DPW that could be rented to Parks and Rec, in backhoes, or, we have heavy equipment, and if there's some things need to be happen when we rent it, I'm becoming ultra sensitive to spending money after calculating the number of folks who were delinquent with taxes this tax season. And so if suddenly I start acting a little bit nervous about spending, delinquent taxes went up from 1.3% to 2.3% year over year. And I certainly am worried about spending money because of that. There'll be something coming out at our next meeting so folks can look at it. There'll be something in the paper about it. But relative to this, on a property we haven't decided what we're doing yet, I don't know that we want to jump right in and buy something until we decide.
Trustee Morocco.
I think it's a great piece of equipment. I'd love to have one, but I got to agree it's a little premature because I think that I've got some ideas that people bounce around about the McCord project and stuff that this would come in handy, but to make trails and if we do something with it over there, but I'd like to have the plan because we'd want to make sure that bush hogging and grapplers and all the other attachments that would go with it. Mm-hmm. My only concern is that this is a great machine as far as quality goes, there's no doubt, and I think you should buy the best we can buy so we get the longest use out of it, not buy cheap equipment, which this is not. But I did take a note when you talked about going in the damp areas of Clintonwood, because that's the headwaters, and I thought that the intent was that we weren't going to touch any of that area except for where the expansion of the possible tennis courts and pickleball courts would go to free up the use of the baseball diamonds that were currently being used for soccer fields. So in that application, I don't know if that's the right machine, but if it's my concern is that if it's a one-off project, that renting may be the exact piece of equipment that if you destroy it, it's not our problem, it's got insurance, if something happens to it. If it's only a day or two project that you're doing clearing with or something that, I'm just worried that it's gonna be a $90,000 machine that's gonna sit 90% of the time. We don't have the facility yet for the building because we're trying to get the pole barn built that it would go in. If it went over there, I don't know where you're planning on keeping it, but if it was gonna go at Bay Court or not. I'm hoping that that we have a lot less road maintenance with the paving, but Clintonwood has a lot of gravel, and this would be perfect for fixing the gravel. So kind of a little bit conflicted, but I think that it's a little bit, I'd like to have a better, more consistent use of it because the depreciation of them happens quickly. You're running them through trees, you're smashing them into things. That's what they're built for, but when they get all beat up, they look a little bit rough. So I just, that's kind of different thoughts I'm having about it.
It's a very good point, and Sam, I believe you're right. We can rent the equipment since we're not gonna be using
Or subcontract the
a
process.
subcontract. Yeah, we can do both.
I'm just saying, you can rent it to do it yourself, or you could subcontract the whole process to excavator or something.
Yeah. We can table this or. Okay.
Yeah,
Anything to say?
No,
Yeah, we can do that.
I,
Okay. Any
I
comments,
concur.
Jim?
I concur on
Yeah.
large part.
Please table.
I don't really know this
We can table.
property we're speaking to, trying to get up to speed on that, but.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just making some notes, I'm sorry, on
Yeah.
what you were writing. So I'm guessing that we're not going to move forward on this particular motion.
Yeah, we're gonna probably table it this tonight, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think that what the board believes is maybe we can rent or we can subcontract or
Or
get it.
come back with more evidence of what you're gonna use it for, so.
Yeah, maybe we can, that's true. Since we're gonna meet with the Parks and Rec Committee, maybe we can see what direction the community, what recommendations the community think we should do. So we can have a view what we wanna do, and then maybe we can bring this back. Because right now, we wanna purchase that, but we don't have a clear understanding what we're gonna do with the equipment, you know?
Okay.
I mean, they just wanna know what are the projects coming up that we're gonna need this
All right, thank you.
100%. Okay, thank you.
You
Okay, we
you don't
just
need
table
anything
this.
else from me? All right.
We're taking
Thank
any
you.
action to table it, just carry.
Yeah, there's no action.
No action taken in this one, okay. Moving along, okay. So this is, this is the reappointment for the Open Space Committee, and then, basically, we know this, that we are reappointing, 3 board members. Sam, you would like to make a motion for reappoint the board members for the Open Space Committee?
Well, there might want to be dialogue. It is up to 13 members now, and the mayor
Okay.
says 12. I just want to make
Okay.
a clerical
Sure.
correction on
Okay.
that.
Thank you,
With
Jim.
Paul
Thank you,
joining
Sam.
us, so that got us up to 13.
Mhm.
If nobody has any board comment,
I just have
Okay,
I have a question, and I don't have a dog in the fight here by any means.
Mhm.
But I know Mr. Scarborough is now the chair of the planning commission, and I know that in and of itself is a big job, and I don't, I conceptually know what the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee is for, and I know one of the things we wanted to do was to have a representative from the planning commission on the ROSAC, is that what you call it, or?
if you
Yeah.
want to,
Okay.
you can.
All right, great. But, so just an open question. I know there was no shortage of interest for a myriad of board appointments, and I think, in my opinion, the more we can encourage and embrace participation or the desire to be participatory in our various levels, committees that support our government is a good thing. So, not less of a critique, but more of an open question for the board. Would it not behoove us to find someone else, being that Mr. Scarborough has a pretty big job as chair of the planning commission? He was nominated and elected by his peers on the commission. And give this someone else an opportunity who was eager and anxious to get involved, because I do recall when we were talking about appointing planning commissioners that there was a sentiment that, well, let residents get involved with the residential open space or some other committees. They get their feet wet in how, if they haven't otherwise had experience. So that's my offering. If the board is committed to this slate, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
But I just, whether it's food for thought for the future or consideration tonight, that was just an observation for me.
Thank you, Jim, I appreciate that. That's a good point. Well, the 3 individuals here asked for reappointment, though. They are committed to be reappointment. Bill Scarborough, he wants to be reappointed. He's very involved and he wants to continue there. But in the future, it's some other openings, I'd be happy to, okay?
And if I may just respond, and I can appreciate that. My point is, there are a lot of people that desired that same appointment, right? So,
Sure,
that's all.
sure.
Not
No
gonna
problem.
split hairs over it, but.
Claire Newbeck?
I think just to piggyback on something Trustee Tedder said, and then you mentioned about them desiring to be reappointed. We had planning commissioners that desired to be reappointed that you didn't bring forward. So,
Okay.
I just thought I'd comment.
All right?
I
Trustee Marco.
did, I'm on that committee.
Okay.
I did talk to Bill. He was interested in being on both. I think primarily because we're a new committee and we're just getting started, was part of the interest, that he was part of the startup crew of it. So maybe after his appointment, maybe he may not want to continue on it in the future, but I think that a lot of the interest was that we haven't even really got the thing barely off the ground, so I think he wanted to see that to fruition, but that's just, he didn't say interest, but I agree with what you're saying, we want to get as many different people, too, onto different things, so.
Yeah, because I think there are a number of people, I think Ms. Billings is also on 2 committees. So, I mean, we have 37,000 residents, is my point, and
Correct.
no shortage of applicants, and I think we're doing those people a disservice by saying that, and planning commission, frankly, is short of being on the board, is the biggest job and the biggest responsibility and important burden that anyone can have. So I think that it's sort of like when you apply for a job and you maybe have your top 3 choices and you get your top choice, I mean, you kind of forego the opportunity for choices 2 and 3, in my opinion.
Sure.
So that's all. I think it's really incumbent upon us, either now and or in the future, to share the wealth, if you will.
No, sure, absolutely. Thank you, Jim. Treasurer Brown.
Just sort of a side comment related to the Open Space Committee, and that's that there is hope we can have a work group that includes the Residential Open Space Committee, the Planning Commission, and the Township Board, all around a big thing here in Town Hall at a public meeting where we can get to know each other and understand, the desires of each group and prepare ourselves to work together and make sure that we're all moving in the right direction. And so we'd love to see that happen as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's different discussion, but it's a good point. We'll follow up with that. Okay, someone would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Gerald Fisher as recommended by the Township Supervisor to the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee for a 3-year term scheduled to expire on December 31st, 2026.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion B?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Kevin Rosnick as recommended by the Township Supervisor to the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee for a 3-year term scheduled to expire on December 31st, 2026.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll move to reappoint Bill Scarborough as recommended by the Township Supervisor to the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee for a 3-year term scheduled to expire December 31st, 2026.
Support.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Housekeeping note, just
Yes,
real quick.
sure.
All 3 of those people, their term expired at the same time, so I mean, for ease of maintenance or motions, to me, they all 3 could have been on the same motion. So,
Okay.
I mean, unless somebody wanted to object to one of them.
Okay. All right, we now have a closed session. Communications, future agenda item report, minutes, Video Center Administrative Board, November 15, 2023. Board member comments.
I have some comments. Could you give us an update on the legal and prosecution status that we brought up at the last meeting? I know you have worked on that. If you could just update the public on whether we're going to look at getting a different contract signed or if we're going to continue with the open-ended contract.
It's knowing the agenda signed and, but I give you an update to you. I did, but there's no, we cannot discuss contracts in public.
Oh,
But I give you the update and you throw it right here. Right here, actually.
yeah, I know. I was trying to.
Yeah, I give you an update
I
right
already
here.
threw it in the garbage.
I know,
once.
but I give it to you, Sam.
So secondly,
Yes.
could you update us on the master plan? We've been at it now for over 2 years. We're 60,000 into it.
Okay.
No significant changes were presented to happen. I was on the planning commission when we reopened it in 2021. It's still, we're still getting billed monthly for it. And I'd just like to know how much longer it's going to take to update the plan, because we're going to be ready to start it over again pretty soon if we don't get it done shortly. So if you could update us on that.
All right.
Thirdly, as Joette mentioned earlier, I'd like to talk about the attacks against me from the Planning and Zoning Department and the township consultants that were allowed to continue on February 8th at the meeting. The Planning Commission meeting, the township consultant Dick Carlisle and the Planning Department director had a pre-planned presentation about my lack of credibility pertaining to my claims of gross negligence of the township as it pertained to the developer's oversight on the Sashabaw Crossings project. These attacks have started since I protested the split of the building and planning department that was done by the previous administration to eliminate oversight for future developments. In my opinion, the planning department now only directly reports to the supervisor, so it's a sole responsibility of the supervisor to control his staff, which he has failed to since taking office, in my opinion. Since this position was proposed and I publicly spoke out about as a resident, that this part-time job was made a full-time director's position to allow developments to proceed with only supervisor's oversight, I've personally been cited with 3 potential violations at my home, business, and nonprofit, Preservation Clarkston. Also attacked Preservation Clarkston at the last Planning Commission meeting. Items like a building permit expiring at the Bailey House, which I can tell you I've built over close to 200 homes in this township and probably worked on 500 to 1,000 of them. I've never had a permit expire in Independence Township, as long as you are actively working on a job site. So that was something new that had happened. And I got ticketed for an expired license plate on a vehicle parked behind my barn. A tenant change in my commercial building, and all of those I addressed immediately. They're very on top of it, apparently. Now, Friday, I received 4 more potential violations based on a complaint received by an email that was sent by previous supervisor Kittle to the Clarkston News. An email saying that I may have setback and permit violations on my property dating back to 2011. Like my pool's in my front yard, my shed is outside the setbacks, and an expired permit on my garage, all that had permits and that were approved by the township. So I went on the township BS&A site that shows the permit and violation status states that the supervisor asked general counsel for an opinion if they should move forward with the investigation and prosecution against me. The BS&A site states that our attorneys advised against it due to political ramifications. Then in that window of time, the file was put on hold. Then at the last meeting, when I brought up the fact that I thought that we were overpaying for legal prosecution, it says on the BS&A site that it was brought up a meeting between the planner, the township supervisor, and a attorney. It doesn't say who. And that another meeting had happened, and between those 3 individuals, it was decided to continue attacking me on these frivolous and false charges. I was notified by the township the intent to prosecute if I don't provide the proof that I'm in compliance. It's concerning that the supervisor has no control over his employees or subcontractors and allowed these attacks to continue. The negligence of the township as far as developmental oversight, the refusal to take action against inappropriate actions of the consultants, and the refusal to address unnecessary spending just shows out of control things have become due to the lack of knowledge of these subjects by the supervisor. It is time to get things back the way they were. The building department director in control of planning and zoning, a person with knowledge of building and planning, is the person that should be in that position. The planner is not a building inspector. He's an administrator. He has got no business making decisions of things that are happening on sites. This position is not a full-time job. It never has been in the history of the township, especially based on the fact that 5 planning commission meetings have been canceled in the last 6 months due to lack of activity, planning and zoning meetings combined, and that we used to have 2 planning commission meetings a month for the 18 years I was on the commission, and we didn't have a full-time planner. It was stated when the board was convinced that this position was needed to be created, that it could be reversed if found it was not necessary. I believe the time is now, and especially with the lack of oversight and management by the supervisor due to his lack of experience in this specific field, that I would ask the board to place this topic on the next meeting agenda so we can have a proper oversight of future developments restored as soon as possible. And I would also ask that the board, now that it's received its report of my complaints of gross negligence, to have the Sashba Crossing investigation results. It was paid for by the taxpayers and not the developer, to be placed on very soon next agenda so that we can find out what the findings were, and I would have the ability to ask questions on the residents' behalf to the engineers, which were our in-house engineers who did the report. Thank you.
Okay. All right. When I receive any complaints about residents, I forward to the right department, and the right department do what they have to do. I don't have any agenda targeting any residents or any elected officials or nothing like that. And that's all I have to say. Well, thank you. I need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Okay. All those
I'll
in favor?
support that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
All done, say no?
No.